My name is Margaret Thompson, but everyone calls me Maggie. I've been working as a manager at a mid-sized accounting firm in Chicago for 7 years now, with an annual salary of $65,000. While it's not a bad income by any means, my lifestyle has been remarkably modest. The reason for this lies with my sister, Ashley. She's a second-year student at a beauty school, dreaming of becoming an influencer with her flashy personality. For the past 6 years, I've been supporting her life. Beyond the annual tuition of $8,000, I pay $800 monthly for her apartment. I'm the one who signed the lease for that lovely furnished apartment. Our father runs a small real estate brokerage business in the suburbs. His income is unstable and not what it used to be. Mom works part-time in clerical work while continuing to dote on Ashley as always. Looking back, the dysfunction in our family began when I was in high school. When Dad's business wasn't doing well, I spent my time working part-time jobs to help with household expenses. Meanwhile, Ashley, despite her poor grades, was constantly spoiled by our parents. I couldn't say anything to our parents, who always said, "It's fine because big sister is smart." Still, I couldn't shake my concern for my sister's future. After graduating college and settling into my job with a stable income, Ashley announced she wanted to go to beauty school. Our parents couldn't afford it, so I offered to help. Mom accepted it as a matter of course, saying, "That's what sisters are for, right?" Since then, most of my savings have gone towards supporting my sister. Recently, things have been getting worse. Ashley's lifestyle has become visibly chaotic, with increasing complaints from neighbors. Late-night noise, loud voices from her apartment, strange young people coming and going. Warnings from the property management company have increased. My sister seemed to have no understanding of how I struggled to make the monthly payments. Every time I look at my paycheck, my chest tightens. While living frugally myself, I continue to support my sister to the best of my ability. But lately, I've been increasingly anxious about how long this situation can continue. One evening, I was heading to my sister's apartment, clutching my bag containing important meeting materials. I had just received a call from the building manager about unpaid rent and noise complaints. Although I had a crucial presentation first thing in the morning, this was an issue I couldn't postpone. The walk from the subway felt longer than usual. My shadow stretched long on the pavement under the dim streetlights of the Lincoln Park district. This street, usually bustling during the day, was quiet at this hour. Looking back, the days when Ashley and I walked this path together now feel like distant memories. As I approached my sister's apartment, loud music assaulted my ears. My heart clenched. I remembered the day we signed the lease for this apartment. I can still vividly recall Ashley's expression as she leaned against the kitchen counter, saying, "Thank you, sis," with a bright smile. Perhaps those promises were no longer being kept. Climbing the stairs to the entrance, I found the hallway littered with empty cans and cigarette butts. Drink stains marked the walls, and the carpet was dirty with footprints. From Ashley's room came blaring music and young people's laughter. I watched as neighbors grimaced and hurriedly retreated into their own apartments. The door was half open and unlocked. Before I could knock, 2 unfamiliar young people brushed past me and entered the room. They were clutching wine bottles. This apartment, for which I paid $800 monthly, had transformed into something like a nightclub. Ashley? When I opened the door, I couldn't believe my eyes. About 15 young people had taken over the room, and my cream-colored sofa, which I was still paying off in installments, was dotted with wine stains. The $2,000 carpet had cigarette burns. Disposable dishes were piled high on the kitchen counter, and the sink overflowed with dirty plates. A houseplant had been knocked over, with soil scattered across the floor. In the center of the room, several young people were holding up smartphones, taking selfie videos. The atmosphere was charged, as if they were doing a social media live stream. Everyone was flashing smiles at their screens and raising their glasses. In the middle of it all, Ashley was dancing in a flashy dress. When my sister spotted me, she approached with her smartphone still in hand, smirking. Gone was any trace of my usually well-groomed sister. Her makeup was smeared, her hair disheveled. "Did you come to spoil the party? Should I introduce my followers to my nagging sister?" Ashley's voice dripped with obvious sarcasm. The smell of alcohol stung my nose. The young people around us began to focus their attention on us, as if watching a spectacle. Ashley, the property manager, called about the rent. "And this noise, it's disturbing the neighbors." I tried to maintain my composure. But I was at a loss for words at the devastation before me. Empty wine bottles lay scattered on the table, and the table lamp I had given her last Christmas was knocked over, its shade bent. Something had splattered on the walls. This was what I found after 6 years of support. Another lecture? Stop meddling in my life. I don't want to end up like you, working at some boring company, living the same life every day. I have dreams. Ashley raised her voice, emboldened by alcohol. Her smartphone was still recording. The young people around her started pulling out their own phones, filming the situation. "This furniture was paid for by me. Please take better care of it, and the rent, by the deadline." I wasn't given the chance to finish those words. Ashley's expression changed completely. Her eyes held a hatred I'd never seen before. "Get out. Nobody wants a loser like you here. What would you know, you sad woman who goes to her boring job every day and doesn't even have a boyfriend. Stop trying to control my life." It happened suddenly. Ashley grabbed my bag and threw it into the hallway. With a loud thud, the contents scattered across the floor. My presentation materials for tomorrow spread everywhere, and my laptop of 3 years slid out of the bag and crashed onto the cold floor. The young people around us started filming with their smartphones, as if watching a reality show. No one tried to stop it. They were just absorbed in recording the situation through their screens. Some even laughed. "This is going to be amazing content," I heard someone whisper. My emotional pain was about to become someone else's entertainment. "What's going on here?" The building manager had rushed over, hearing the commotion. His face showed a mix of confusion and anger. "This disturbance needs to stop immediately. We've received complaints from other residents." Ashley showed no sign of remorse at the situation. Instead, she was posing for her smartphone camera and laughing with her friends. My presence seemed to no longer register in her world. Slowly, I began picking up the scattered papers one by one. My hands trembled slightly. 6 years of support, monthly payments, sisterly care. Perhaps it had all been pointless. The days of working part-time jobs since high school to help with household expenses and continuing to live frugally after college graduation flashed through my mind like a film reel. As I returned the collected papers to my bag, I spoke quietly but firmly. This is the end. Don't contact me again. Those words carried more disappointment than anger. With music and laughter echoing in the hallway behind me, I quickly left the scene. Tomorrow's meeting materials were ruined, and my laptop was damaged. But more than these, it was my trust in my sister that was broken. As I stepped into the elevator, I could still hear laughter from the room. Just before the doors closed, I thought I heard Ashley's voice saying, "Finally, I'm free." Tears silently rolled down my cheeks. When I arrived at my apartment that night, it was already past midnight. The humiliation of picking up scattered papers in the hallway still burned hot within me. My damaged laptop screen was shattered and wouldn't even turn on. The scattered meeting materials were rain-soaked, the ink running. Only 7 hours remained until tomorrow's crucial presentation. However, my mind was already occupied with my next actions. Taking my smartphone, I logged into online banking. The balance displayed on the screen was a slightly sadder number than usual. With trembling hands, I canceled the automatic payment settings for Ashley. Annual tuition of $8,000, monthly rent of $800, utilities, food support. The bank screen coldly displayed the end of 6 years of support. At 2 a.m., I purchased a new prepaid phone at a 24-hour convenience store. I completed the number change procedure on the telecom company's website and created a new email address. To escape the words of condemnation from family that would flood the email address I'd used for 6 years. My old phone was already filled with over 50 missed calls. While recreating the meeting materials through the night, I also sent an email to schedule an appointment with a law firm. I needed legal confirmation regarding my past support. Messages from my parents kept arriving on my smartphone. What do you think you're doing? Are you trying to ruin your sister's life? You ungrateful child. Contact us immediately. I darkened the screen on the barrage of accusatory messages from my mother. I couldn't find the energy or words to reply. The next morning, I felt my concealer-covered dark circles showing under the fluorescent lights. My colleagues might have noticed my exhausted expression, but no one asked questions. After the presentation, I immediately headed to HR. I needed to report the potential family troubles in advance. Recently, I've been having issues with my family. If there's any contact made to the workplace. The HR director showed understanding. However, those concerns would prove accurate. In the afternoon, a call came to my workplace from the beauty school. They needed urgent contact regarding unpaid tuition. Then, from the apartment management company as well. I responded matter-of-factly. All support from me has ended. Please direct future communications to Ashley herself. I headed to the law firm I had scheduled. In the reception room of the high-rise building, I spread out 6 years' worth of support records. Bank transfer histories, rent payment proofs, tuition receipts. Each piece felt like a chain that had bound my life. All this support was voluntary. There is no legal obligation for support. I nodded slightly at the lawyer's words. For just 30 minutes of consultation, I paid an amount equivalent to my week's food budget. That evening, the anticipated situation occurred. My parents suddenly appeared at my workplace. When the reception's internal call came through, my chest tightened. My parents' expressions in the reception room were sterner than I'd ever seen. Why did you suddenly stop all support? Your selfishness is affecting your sister's future. My parents' voices in the conference room threatened to echo throughout the office. My father's face was contorted with anger, and my mother had tears in her eyes. Even after explaining Ashley's behavior from yesterday, their attitudes didn't change. Ashley is young. She's bound to make mistakes. Shouldn't you support her as her sister? I inwardly smiled bitterly at my mother's words. I won't clean up after Ashley anymore. I have my own life too. After my parents left in anger, I checked my smartphone to find social media in uproar. The video Ashley had posted. The pathetic sight of me picking up scattered papers was being shared with the comment, "Finally free from my toxic sister. Living my life freely from now on." The comment section overflowed with condemnation of me, and angry calls from relatives continued. How could you abandon your family? So selfish. What would your parents think? A family disgrace. Concerned messages from acquaintances kept coming in. Are you okay? Did something happen? I lacked the energy to reply, leaving them on read. From Ashley's friends came explicit harassment messages. Inhuman, family betrayer, toxic woman, nobody will ever love you. My heart was in turmoil. That weekend, I went to look at a new apartment. Though the rent was $500 more per month than my current place, it was closer to the station and had better security. The presence of 24-hour security guards gave me a small sense of comfort. I decided to redirect the money I had been saving for Ashley toward improving my own quality of life. I'll take this apartment. While signing the contract at the real estate office, I felt I was taking a step toward a new life. I paid 2 months' rent as a security deposit. Without the support for Ashley, this expense seemed manageable. I also registered on job search sites. While updating my resume, I reassessed my career. Perhaps it was time to aim for the next step beyond my current annual salary of $65,000. I've never seriously thought about my own career. That realization opened up new possibilities. The first session with a psychological counselor was more relieving than expected. In the sunlit consultation room, I gradually put into words the pressure of the past 6 years. There's no right or wrong in family relationships. What's important is being honest with your emotions. The counselor's words made my eyes well up. The emotions I had been suppressing were slowly being untangled. Taking care of yourself is never wrong. Those words sank deep into my heart. That night, facing my new laptop, I was rebuilding my life plan. In the Excel sheet, my savings plan was taking shape. The money I had been spending on Ashley could now be invested in my own future. I might even save enough for a house down payment in 3 years. Time to live my own life. Whispering those words, I made an appointment to view my new room. Tomorrow would begin my new life for myself. I could feel the weight in my heart gradually lightening. My feelings for my parents and Ashley hadn't completely disappeared. But for now, they felt like distant waves. 3 months had passed. In my new office towering over Chicago's financial district, I was making final adjustments to the quarterly financial report. I had successfully switched jobs with a 20% salary increase and was leading a team of 15 people as a senior manager in the financial analysis division. I had grown accustomed to life in my new apartment, and my emotional wounds were gradually healing. Just when I had finally become able to talk calmly about my family during weekend counseling, it happened. That day at 10 a.m., while I was absorbed in preparing for an important presentation, an internal call came to my desk from reception. "Ms. Thompson, your family is here. They're waiting in the reception room." At the receptionist's hesitant voice, I nearly dropped my tablet. The morning sun streaming through the 47th floor windows suddenly felt blinding. Through the office glass, I could see my parents and Ashley. I was in the middle of final checks on my presentation materials for the board meeting at 11 a.m. However, the sister standing there was unrecognizable from her flashy appearance 3 months ago. The brand name dress she had boasted cost $1,000, her perfect makeup all gone, replaced by an almost bare face and jeans. No trace remained of the selfies she had posted daily on social media. Undisguisable dark circles lay under her eyes, her cheeks were sunken, and her shoulders slumped. "Could we have just 10 minutes of your time?" My father's voice no longer carried its previous angry tone. Instead, it mixed with exhaustion and resignation. His suit was wrinkled, his tie askew. While leading them to the reception room, I thought about my 11 a.m. presentation. An important meeting where I had to explain the key points of a 300-page quarterly report in just 15 minutes. However, the gravity in my family's expressions forced me to put that aside. "Actually, we've reached our limit." The story my father began was heavier than I had imagined. His real estate brokerage business of 30 years had completely stalled, and the office had closed last week. The housing market slump had drastically reduced transactions, making it impossible to pay office rent and employees' salaries. Overwhelmed by loan repayments, my parents' savings were depleted. My mother's part-time income alone couldn't even cover living expenses. And Ashley's situation was even more serious. The stack of documents handed over with trembling hands. Credit card statements, collection notices, unpaid notices. My eyes widened with each number I traced. "Sis." I was deceived. My sister began speaking in a trembling voice. She had already been expelled from beauty school. After continuously skipping classes, her attendance fell far short. Behind this, she had been pouring large sums of money into an influencer training school run by someone she met on social media. A premium course at $2,000 per month, filming equipment set, specialized app usage fees. All paid by credit card. The debt had snowballed, with total liabilities swelling to $30,000. They said I could definitely get 1 million views every month. They said my income would double in 3 months. That's what they told me. She said she had taken out loans one after another, lured by such fraudulent sweet talk. The expensive filming equipment turned out to be secondhand, and the promised income never materialized. When my support stopped and payments fell behind, she finally had to face reality. She discovered that most of her social media followers were fake accounts. To fall for such an obvious scam. Mother was scolding her daughter harshly for the first time. Her voice trembled as she reprimanded Ashley, something she had never done before. Do you understand how much trouble you've caused your sister? That day, even her important work materials. Beside her, father heaved a deep sigh. His back, usually full of dignity, now looked remarkably small. Our spoiling her is the root of all this. Maggie, we're truly sorry for pushing all the responsibility onto you. Ashley was sobbing face down on the desk. My sister, who had looked down on me just 3 months ago, now seemed to lack the courage to raise her tear-stained face. Her flashy makeup, confident attitude, and social media bravado had all peeled away, revealing just a lost young woman. Sis, I'm so sorry. That day, I was drunk, saying such horrible things. I deleted that video right away. But followers had saved it. Watching my sister stumble over words through her tears, something shifted inside me. The anger and hatred I had accumulated over 3 months had somehow transformed into deep sadness. Words I had learned in last week's counseling crossed my mind. Forgiveness doesn't mean denying the past. It can be the first step toward building a new relationship. Taking a deep breath, I voiced my decision. Actually, I had prepared these words for this day. I can consider resuming support, with conditions. My family's faces instantly filled with hope. However, I continued calmly. But these conditions are absolute. Saying this, I pulled out notes I had prepared beforehand. As if I had somehow anticipated this day. First, get a job immediately. Give up on beauty school and start working right away. Any job will do. Starbucks, Walmart, anything. Earning your own income is the priority. Ashley nodded slightly. Her expression showed none of its former defiance. Second, create a detailed list of all debts and establish a repayment plan. My support will be limited to assisting with these repayments. Half of your monthly salary must go toward debt repayment. Father quietly showed his agreement. The sense of parental responsibility had returned to his eyes. Third, family counseling participation. We must all attend once a month. This includes both parents. Mother's eyes widened in surprise. However, she quickly nodded in acceptance. She too must have understood that professional help was needed to restore family bonds. And finally, delete all social media accounts. Forget about the influencer dream, at least until your debt is fully repaid. Delete them right now, here. Ashley hesitated momentarily at this condition but soon took out her smartphone. She proceeded to delete her accounts with thousands of followers right before our eyes. She must have realized best that she no longer had the luxury of chasing illusions. If these conditions aren't met, I'll immediately terminate support. There won't be a second chance. Even as I delivered these harsh words, my heart was already made up. The undeniable blood connection. Complex emotions where hatred and love coexist. Still, giving an opportunity to restart as a family was the last act of kindness I could offer. Thank you, sis. As Ashley spoke through tears, both parents pressed their hands to their eyes. However, this wasn't a moment for emotional indulgence. It was merely the beginning of a long road to redemption. I have a board meeting at 11. We'll discuss the details another time. I announced this quietly as I stood up. My steps toward the conference room felt strangely light. I don't know yet if this decision was right. But at least I knew I had honestly faced my own heart. Outside the window, Chicago's cityscape was shining, as if announcing the beginning of a new season. A year has passed since then. Chicago's autumn wind gently caresses my cheeks. I've been promoted to finance director, and my annual salary has increased to $85,000. From my new office window, I can see Lake Michigan's sparkling surface. Our team's overall performance has improved, and last month I even received a special commendation. I've earned the executive team's trust as a manager capable of making tough decisions. Every third Saturday at 2 p.m. We still never miss our family counseling time. The family conversations that were initially awkward and wordless now flow with a peaceful atmosphere. Under the counselor's guidance, we've become able to gradually put our thoughts into words. Sometimes with tears, sometimes with raised voices, but steadily deepening our understanding. Father drastically downsized his real estate brokerage business, converting a room in our home into an office. He gave up on large transactions, switching to small-scale, community-focused operations. Though his income is less than half of what it was, a long-absent serenity has returned to his expression. Continuing business within our means. Those words bring us relief. Mother continues her part-time work while helping with office tasks. Seeing them work together reminds us of better times from the past. And Ashley. It's been 10 months since she started working as an assistant at a small beauty salon in the Lincoln Park district. My sister, who initially cried out at 7 a.m. starts, has now grown into someone trusted by the manager. Her careful customer service at the shampoo station, thorough floor cleaning, and honest attitude towards senior stylists. Sometimes I get emotional watching my sister accumulate steady effort. She has never once broken her promise to put half her salary toward debt repayment. Though still halfway through the $30,000 debt, it's steadily decreasing. Each time the numbers on the repayment plan decrease, my sister's expression brightens. I might be able to pay it off in 2 more years. Those words contain none of her previous false bravado. Since deleting all her social media accounts, my sister's expression has become peaceful. Instead of obsessing over collecting likes, she values the smiles of customers right in front of her. She seems to be learning through her work that this leads to real fulfillment. A single thank you from a customer feels so much warmer than the number of followers. She speaks such words somewhat bashfully. On the last Sunday of each month, we share a family meal. We talk about our recent lives over Mom's cooking. Conversations that were initially awkward now naturally produce laughter. Ashley shares funny stories from the salon, we nod at Father's tales of community-based business struggles, and smile at Mother's worrying nature. The aroma of Mom's signature lasagna wafts over the table. That day's decision became a major turning point for our family. Bonds that were once nearly broken have grown even stronger. The courage to let go ironically taught us the true meaning of family. Sometimes harsh choices can nurture deeper affection. We learned this truth through pain. Sis, thank you for not giving up on me that time. Ashley's words from the other day still linger in my heart. Sometimes the toughest decisions can be the greatest expressions of love. Perhaps that's the truth our family learned firsthand. Outside the window, a new season's wind was blowing. The street trees, dyed golden, sway gently. Surely various difficulties still await us. But now we can overcome them as a family. That certainty quietly and surely filled my heart.